And welcome to another exciting
Hold on.
episode. Oh,
Here we go.
I don't hear sound.
What just happened?
And welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles.
It's an old school intro.
I know, right? What just happened? That was anyway.
I'm your host, Tim D-O-double-G.
Yeah.
And tonight I'm joined by the man behind the side effects at Agent_70 on Twitter.
What's up, everybody?
Also have here tonight is at Roddy Cat on Twitter.
I promise the intro was working when we tried it beforehand. But what's up, everybody? Happy post Destiny 2 day.
How is that, by the way?
It's good. It's good.
Not with us tonight, but still part of the crew is at PCN_Dirt.
The ladies miss you, Dirt.
Make sure to go to his website, Pop Culture Network. Make sure to go to his website, popculturenetwork.com. And while you're going to websites, go to ours. That's thekliqnation.com, where you can find previous episodes of the Comic Book Chronicles, comic book news. On the homepage are links to our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+. And also subscribe to the podcast by going to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, YouTube, TuneIn Radio. And speaking of podcasts, we are a part of the Code Slither Podcast Network. Go to cspn.us. Do it today. And make sure to buy the Comic Book Chronicles merchandise by going to shop.cspn.us. And remember, we record live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can go to thekliqnation.com/live to tune in every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And use the hashtags Comic Book Chronicles and CBChron on your favorite social media websites to join in the conversation. Up tonight for review purposes is going to be Champions number 12 from Marvel Comics.
That's our leadoff issue. So we have basically reached the end of the Secret Empire crossover for Champions, and we find the team kind of with some downtime on their hands, and
A little R&R.
yeah, they engage in that very recent team building exercise. It is the dreaded karaoke.
That time-honored tradition.
Exactly. And it's funny to, it's kind of try to figure out the songs that some of these very, very young characters are trying to sing. And I think it's funny that Amadeus would be the old soul singing Elvis.
I know he's the Elvis fan apparently because he was singing it, and according to that one panel, he dressed up as Hulk Elvis.
Right.
for Halloween.
Right. Oh, that's a great. Listen, that's one of the best panels that Ramos has put to paper in a long time. That was pretty cool. So if there's an incentive to just pick up this issue, that's definitely part of it.
I wish now that we're saying that out loud, I might actually have to make that put that on the Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. Look out for @CBCaps. That definitely should be. That's an excellent candidate for feature on @CBCaps on Instagram, the gram.
The gram, yes, as the kids say.
Right.
But yeah, so we were discussing this before the show, and I was like, while it seemed to me like it was a filler issue, it was still a good issue, because I mean, sometimes the word filler is kind of has a negative connotation to it, and I would not mean that in this case, even though, despite, like I said, we're kind of coming on off of Secret Empire and it has nothing to do with that. But this issue doesn't seem like it's going. We don't know this, but it seems like this issue is kind of just a one and done, seeming like. And to kind of get into it a little bit, it is focusing on, if you actually, here, I'll just do this. If you're watching the video, you can see the cover of said book, which is young Cyclops blasting the logo out through his ruby glasses somehow. So I don't know how that works, because they don't. That's not how that usually happens. But you know what? We're gonna let that slide for a sec.
Sure.
And say that a very old, a semi-old, slightly obscure villain shows up that the team battles. Cyclops takes the initiatives and takes care of it. But in the process, there's a feedback loop that causes young, usually straight-laced, some would say stiff Cyclops to kind of loosen up and let out some emotions. And the villain we are talking about, by the way, is called Psycho Man.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, one we haven't seen or heard from in a good minute.
Sure, but definitely an old school Marvel villain.
Mm-hmm. Who also comes back up later on in the issue, but no, they take care of that. But like I said, mostly during the course of the issue has to do with Cyclops and his dealing with the feelings that are coming out due to being exposed to Psycho Man's psycho rays, basically.
Sure.
So it was enjoyable. Like I said, even for the beginning of the part by this, which, because the first page was like a big splash of like we will never talk about this day ever again, and then you're like, okay, what in the world's going on here? And then we get into it, and it's like, okay, well.
Right. So,
and then it just kind of circles back around to that near the end.
Right. The way I looked at this issue is that it really was a vehicle for some team building. We've seen some team building happen in this book before, specifically on a camping trip. But I believe that's when Cyclops actually joined up with the team. So I don't think he had a chance to go through any of the team building there. So it seems like this was the time to kind of take a step back post Secret Empire and do some more team building to help Cyclops integrate with the team a little bit better and enmesh himself within the web of the team. I just Googled exactly. I just Googled the song lyrics at the beginning, and it's apparently a Mariah Carey song. I didn't recognize it.
I didn't either.
I literally just Googled it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's Beautiful by Mariah Carey. And I guess that's why that's supposed to be funny. So,
weird.
Right. So, a lot of this is, the one thing I observed about this is that this is what you would think would be going on within the ranks of the time displaced X-Men. But instead, they're doing it with Cyclops in the ranks of the champions, and it's like it's a different dynamic now, obviously, because the future has been rewritten. The past and the future has been rewritten by putting this group of X-Men into the present. So it's interesting to see this happen within the pages of Champions as opposed to within the pages of X-Men.
Which begs the question: why didn't it happen in the pages of X-Men?
They had too many crossovers to deal with.
Well, I guess that outside, or you could argue that maybe Champions might be a higher profile book than that X-Men book is at this point. Right. I don't know, but still,
sure,
that is a curious question.
Right. I also wanted to note that Psycho Man first appeared in Fantastic Four Annual #5 in November '67, and was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So I wonder if his appearance in this book to coincide with the 100th anniversary or the 100th birthday of Jack Kirby this month wasn't timed, or within the last month is timed.
I don't know. I feel like there would have been a little more overt references, but sure, we could do that. We could say that. I'm just thinking it's like, for the last couple of years, Marvel's been having a habit of throwing in obscure villains every now and then at random.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured this was just kind of one that fit the bill for what they were trying to do. So, but who knows?
Yeah, no, it was a fun issue. I liked it because it definitely had, some of the teenage banter, but at the end of the day, some very good team building and bonding within its pages. So I thought it was a good story.
So yeah, indeed. Yeah, and Champions is usually a good book anyway. So
yeah. Next up we have them against the newly reconstituted Avengers. So
right. And this is the other reason why I say it's a filler issue, because like I said, this is kind of coming out of Secret Empire and then just going into their own mini crossover with the Avengers, which that's going to be something.
All righty. So what's next?
What's next?
Yes, President Bartlett to ask.
What's next?
There you go.
Do you want to, I guess, keeping on the Champions theme, want to talk about Spider-Man 20?
I could. So Spider-Man 20 is a very interesting and somewhat confusing issue because the way, maybe I don't recall exactly what happened in the last issue, but we find, without spoiling too much, I'm going to ring the bell, and I know that our own Roddy Cat and Tim Dog 98 will probably get around to reading this, so I won't spoil too much. So the cover doesn't necessarily reveal what happens in the issue, but there is an aspect of that in within the pages of the story. So Nico Leon is the guest artist on this issue, and he does an excellent job of telling a pretty interesting, or giving us an interesting setup, because what we have is the setup of Miles in a very foreign city. He is not in New York City. He is somewhere else. And we start the issue with Miles in that foreign locale with some familiar characters from across the Marvel Universe, making note of his appearance in this foreign city. And in flashback, we're told some of the things that Miles and Ganke are going through, and how Miles finds himself in this foreign city. And it's a pretty, it's a pretty funny thing that he does, because he's essentially running away, and he makes use of his spider powers to effectuate an exit outside of the country. And it's a pretty briskly told story. It's kind of unlike what we're used to from Bendis, but at the end of the day, what really happens, all we know is that Miles is in another country, and he's run into a couple of familiar characters. So we don't really know why he's there, or what's going to, or what even potentially could be set up. So at the same time, it's a briskly told but typical slow boil, slow burn Bendis story, because it took a whole issue of this to get us to where we would normally be about 5 pages in, like, hey, character A is in a foreign land. Why is he here? There's a little bit of backstory explaining it. And, we'd be neck deep in a superhero battle by the time we got to the end of that one issue. So, Bendis's pacing is still Bendis's pacing. But like I said, without spoiling too much, that's essentially what happens. Is it worth reading? Yeah, because there's a couple little... I guess one of Bendis's cheats is that he uses a couple little nods to modern technology and the way teenagers communicate nowadays to help the story move along. So that may be an interesting little mechanism of storytelling to make note of in this story. So if that if that's enough to make you think, well, it's moving along, well, what are you going to do?
The cover
Underwater.
Yeah, I guess I should have fixed that. All right. So how's that?
Good.
The cover kind of suggests that Bendis was once again trying to make a statement, as sometimes he is wont to do in this book.
Right.
And that kind of gave me pause.
Right. It's not necessarily, what I was going to say is, what it hints at is it's not necessarily a political statement, but it's more along the lines of a statement on identity and Miles's secret identity status in the issue. I'll put it.
I don't think he did all that great the last time he tried to make that statement.
I heard,
but that's just me.
I heard what the issue. I heard what the issue with this one was. The book was originally solicited with a different story, and they had to do some switching around those storylines. So it's like an issue of the cover being created, story that ended up getting switched around or changed.
I got
that
you.
explains a lot.
Which I think actually,
Sure.
I think that ends up happening a lot with Bendis's books.
Yeah, that's true.
A number of times with covers that don't portray what's actually inside the pages.
Weird.
Alrighty. So, moving on. It looks like I've got a bunch of books to maybe do rapid fire on. What else do we both read? You want to move over to the Generations book? Let Tim take a crack.
Yeah, let's.
It's my turn.
Sure, why no?
Let's do Batman, whatever cover number is it?
Tim wants to reserve Generations, and he wants to talk back.
Oh, switcheroo. Nice.
I mean, we can do Generations.
No.
It's another Bendis book. I was actually trying to save my click of the week for
exactly
later.
That's what I was going to say. Like he's trying to leave that to last. So let's do Kite Man.
Batman 30. So it's another sad story in the larger war of jokes and riddles.
If I can. A sad story.
It is sad because it's Kite Man and he's a joke.
Yeah.
They run that joke into the ground with his son. Call him a joke.
Mm-hmm.
On the side of Joker, because at one point, pick Joker's side because if he doesn't, he'll kill you. But come to find out, it looks like Joker is losing the battle to the Riddler so far.
Right.
So it's as this issue goes along, it's Kite Man teaming up with different members of Joker's crew. He starts off with, was it Tweedledee
and Tweedledum?
Tweedledum. Yeah. We get Mr. Freeze, who I feel like hasn't really been in a Batman story arc in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Clue Master, and a few other. Man Bat.
Yeah, Scarface.
Yeah, Scarface. Ventriloquist.
Yeah.
And at the end, Kite Man sort of comes to accept that he's a joke, seen as a joke, laugh with him. But yet he still has this steel resolve about himself where, he knows he's the butt of these jokes and no one takes him seriously, but he's still going to do the best job he can do.
Sure.
While getting beat up by Batman.
Right. So I'm glad that you mentioned the actual title character. So I'm going to
He shows up here.
Right, so I'm going to ring the spoiler bell. Because I'm about to talk about what I don't know if this was revealed in the last issue, but it appears that Batman has taken a side.
Yeah, somehow that happened between. I can't remember if that happened in 29 or not.
Right, like that
After
was the
dinner party.
Right. So I don't think it. I think it was possibly implied in that issue that Batman would take a particular side in this war, but now it's revealed that at least appears to be fighting on one side against the other, and you can kind of put two and two together when, if you recall what Tim Dog was just saying about who's losing right now. You can kind of figure from that which side Batman chose, and Batman, to a certain extent, is tipping the scales, and he does a number on poor Kite Man, trying to get him to stay down, but I guess maybe Batman had some pity on him. But unfortunately, what it comes down to is Kite Man is one of the few remaining combatants on the Joker side. Kind of gets lean, they lean on him for information. And we end the issue with kind of a sad realization on, like you said, like Tim Dog was saying, on Kite Man's part, that he is in fact a joke.
So Batman is actually in the fight. He's not just like
he's taking a side. No, he's now actively taking a side.
Yep. And we should mention that there's art from Clay Mann here, and his brother, I think it's Seth Mann. Pretty nice.
It's a good team up because Clay Mann, at least from what we've seen of his Marvel work, was good. It was definitely influenced by Jim Lee, but it did not have a finished look. It had a pretty unfinished look. This issue seemed to have a pretty heavy ink line, so I'm wondering if the team up of the brothers had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm. So good stuff all around from this Batman story, and I guess hasn't been the last two issues that haven't really ended with catching up with Batman and Selina Kyle as Batman's retelling this story.
Right, you're right. So I guess we'll see them in the next issue. Yeah.
Maybe in the next issue, she will eventually give Bruce her answer to the marriage proposal. Probably when
there's news on that later on in the show.
Okay. Actually, I did a news article on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Batman 30.
There you go.
All righty. Let's see.
I'll do one real quick. Actually, I want to just start the Star Wars block, but I'll wait for that.
You want to just do the Star Wars block?
I'll wait a second. Dastardly.
We'll start the dog block. We'll start the dog block because I read two books that had prominent dogs in them, and Roddy Cat read another.
All right. Dastardly and Muttley, #1 from DC Comics. So, if you are familiar with the duo of Dastardly and Muttley, they are a Hanna-Barbera. They're Hanna-Barbera characters of the villainous note, most notably in the form of Wacky Racers. Again, for the people of a certain vintage, would only know any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were also in the Laugh Olympics, and also were they in Penelope Pit Stop? I can't remember. Either way, they have been DCized, and here they are which I thought they had stopped doing. I thought this was a one-shot at first, but apparently this is either a mini or an ongoing, because it does definitely go past this issue. And in this issue, we have, which is weird. So it's two American Air Force pilots that are on the secret mission to find this drone that had gone missing over this country called Unlikistan, let's say, it's something like that.
Lord.
Yes. And they had been tasked to go in and shoot it down. There's a weird reference to the Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, but they just kind of name drop, just so I had to throw a reference into a Suicide or two Suicide Squads in there while they're talking. So mind you, if you don't know anything about Dastardly and Muttley, so Dick Dastardly is a dude, but Muttley is his dog sidekick. In this book, you have the one of the pilots' name is Richard Dastardly or something like that, but it's not Dastardly. So, but they call him Dick, and his co-pilot is called I can't remember his actual name, but his call sign is Mutt. But he also brings his dog on this mission with him, and Dick is kind of like, why in the world did you bring this dog with you? And I'm sitting here like, well, why did you let him put the dog in the doggone plane, first of all? So he's going on, I was like, blah blah blah, you should be you should be drummed out and this and the other, and I'm gonna turn this plane around so that you could get thrown in jail for that. I'm saying like, you let him put the thing in there. Anyway, as this happens, they come across the drone they were looking for. Oh, there's a part I forgot to mention. On Likistan, about 5 or so years ago, started their first nuclear reactor, except for they had some issues. And the place became presumably irradiated because of it, which prompts us to the present and this mission going on. Like I said, they find the drone, or rather the drone finds them and cuts across their bow and sprays them with what can only be described as cartoon. Because it's a big cloud with skulls and symbols and nothing like that could possibly denote cartoonish type stuff. Their plane goes down, but not without some issues, like say Mutt's eyes popping out. The yoke of the plane turned into a steer wheel and an old timey horn honk per Dick Dastardly's car and Wacky Racers, and then it goes black. Then they find themselves in the hospital. Well, we find Dick Dastardly in the hospital, which again, that's not his actual name in the book, but it's close. Being interrogated by two people who also come in contact with the drone, which should have fallen out of the sky like days ago because it should have ran out of fuel. But like I said, there's been sightings around the world of this drone in different places. And then Dick gets questioned by these two people. One of them ends up seemingly being affected by the said cloud because it came across their car and sprayed them. And the weird part about this interaction is that one of the guys who's doing the main talking starts talking in Looney Tunes references. Now, as I said in the beginning, Dick Dastardly and Muttley are not Looney Tunes characters. They are Hanna-Barbera characters, which makes it even stranger that this person was talking like this. So then, that goes on, and then they leave, and then apparently Mutt breaks out of where they were keeping him because they were keeping him in two different places, and he reveals himself to Dick Dastardly, and guess what? He's a human. Yep, he's a human-looking mutt. Specifically, the dog that he had with him in the plane.
Right.
And that is where this book ends. Like I said, this is another in the line of the DCI's version of Hanna-Barbera. And this it's worth noting. It is being written by Garth Ennis. Take that for what you will.
That makes sense. That all makes sense now that I know that Garth Ennis wrote this.
Exactly. So if you know anything about Garth Ennis's work, then you kind of this is along those lines of being quite weird.
Sure.
But other than that, like I said, it was an interesting first issue. I will definitely check out the next one to see where they go with this, but I don't know what the legs are going to be like with this. And I don't know whether this is actually a mini or an ongoing. It seemed like it's kind of might be building itself up to be a mini, but I don't know for certain.
All righty. So I've got two other books this week that had to do with dogs heavily. So the first one I'm going to mention is Astro City number 47 by Kurt Busiek, the longtime creator behind the Astro City books. If you look at the cover of Astro City, it looks like Alex Ross doing a pretty nice rendition of the lead character in the story, G-Dog. So I'm going to ring the spoiler bell because it's kind of spoilerific. The summary I'm about to give. Essentially, what we're told in this issue is the origin of the hero G-Dog, and it literally starts out from the most humble of beginnings, and involves a character who definitely does not start out sympathetic, but in the midst of committing a dastardly crime, finds himself in possession of a secret amulet that was, I presume, the property of a now deceased member of the Honor Guard, which is the Astro City equivalent of the Avengers. And thanks, Tim, for putting up the cover. That is a pretty cool cover. So getting back to the story, this ne'er-do-well lead character of the story finds himself with this artifact, this amulet, and it ends up that I'm going to ring the spoiler bell again because this is where it kind of gets truly spoilerific. It ends up that the ne'er-do-well who previously had stolen a dog, specifically a corgi. Is it corgi? It's corgi, right? Not corgi?
Yes. Corgi.
Yeah. So he stole a corgi dog, and this corgi dog and this ne'er-do-well end up merging into G-Dog because of the
Wow, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. So it's a tried and true trope, but at the same time, it's done really well in this. There's a couple of very self-aware jokes in this that Busiek drops in. The art in this, I'm looking for the artist on this. The artist on this does a bang up job with the art because it is it's just a pretty dynamic story told visually by the artist of a superhero, a superhero dog, basically, a superhero with dog powers. And it's just a really well done issue. You don't need to know too much about Astro City coming into this. You can absolutely pick this up. This is definitely new reader friendly. You really don't need too much of a familiarity with the characters or the previous Astro City stories. So don't be shy about picking this up. All you dog lovers out there, this is definitely a fun issue to read. I know some of some of my co-hosts on the show are dog people, so I definitely would recommend picking this up and reading it, because I think somebody's dog was running around in their home studio, a little while ago. And getting to the second book that I was going to discuss that had a dog in it, I'm referring to Black Bolt number 5. And this is, if I didn't say before, Astro City number 47 is a candidate for Click of the Week for me, as is Black Bolt number 5, because, we lead directly from the events of last issue, where I remarked that Black Bolt has become a pretty interesting read, and I remarked that the basics of the story is that Black Bolt has been sent off to a prison that was intended for Maximus, and instead Black Bolt finds himself there, and you would think that one particular inhuman character would be able to locate him fairly quickly, or at least earlier than when he did, and we actually explore how Lockjaw basically finds Black Bolt in this, and we are also told some more of Lockjaw's origin. How he's brought up alongside of a young Black Bolt, and and how the loyalty between the two characters is developed, and the affection between the two characters is developed, and once that's established, we find Black Bolt not necessarily running off to the events in the pages of Royals, but instead turning back to help some of the characters who were his fellow prisoners, specifically the Absorbing Man and some other characters who have been imprisoned alongside Black Bolt. And the with the aid of Black Bolt and Lockjaw, the prisoners stage a breakout and attempt to strike back at their jailers. And we end up, as I'm trying to flip through this quickly, and we end up with some revelations about who it is that is the current jailer now, and what the current jailer is willing to do to strike back at the soon, or at least the escaping convicts that that are the heroes of our story. So we end up with a cliffhanger. It's pretty interesting. I definitely recommend Black Bolt as a story. You don't even have to be all that interested in Black Bolt as a character. I think it's a pretty well told story. So this is another candidate for Click of the Week. If you are a dog person, I also recommend this issue alongside the stories of G-Dog in Astro City number 47. If I didn't mention it earlier, Astro City number 47 appears to be part one of, if not a two-part story, at least a two-part story. So the adventures of G-Dog are not quite finished yet.
Well, bow, wow, bow, yippee,
there you go. There you go. So, all the dog lovers out there, you may have some comics to pick from this week.
I didn't miss one before Black Bolt, between Astro City and Black Bolt, did I?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Went straight from Astro City to Black Bolt.
All right.
Cool. All right, who's got next?
Do you want to do Generations, Iron Man, and Ironheart number 1?
Sure. Then we can go on a rapid fire, I guess.
All right, Generations, Iron Man, and Ironheart number 1. As I get the cover going here, this is better than it had any right to be, I think.
Accurate.
Yep.
I was worried about when I saw Marco Rudy on art, because usually I can't understand the thing he's drawing. First, maybe 5 pages, and then had some help. But basically, so we found out last week in Secret Empire number 10 how the heroes get sent to the vanishing point. So far, all the heroes have been sent to the past to meet previous versions of their cores, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But Riri gets sent to the far-flung future, as she calls it.
Right.
As they keep mentioning it.
Yeah, to meet Tony Stark, the Sorcerer Supreme. Which has been teased before, but Bendis gets to do more with it this time. And I guess you can ring the spoiler bell.
Okay.
We get a return of is it Avengers of Tomorrow that they're called?
Next Avengers.
Next Avengers, the children of the Avengers, who had started a straight to DVD animated movie, and have popped up in a couple Al Ewing Avengers books here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Avengers World, I think they showed up in as well, that Nick Spencer wrote. But Riri is sent to, I guess it's the Chicago of the future, and Tony Stark gives her a tour, and there's a lot of teasing of the, I can't tell you too much because, you can't change, have things affected. And Tony tells her how he's sort of solved a lot of the world's problems, like pollution and crime and whatnot. And there are, again, teases of her role to play in things in the future. One instance is Tony references how the whole galaxy respects or fears her. I forget exactly which word he uses. There's an appearance from Morgan Le Fay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Riri is sent back to the present, where she gets right to work trying to develop new technology, all because she was inspired by what she saw.
Right, and that's one of those inspirations was one of the little robots that Tony had with him. And also there was it's worth noting there was a Franklin Richards shows up basically because they end up going to the Baxter building looking for a time machine, and there's also a reference to a time because they basically said it's like no, somebody else has, I can't remember. Project Pegasus has it because of that one time with that person, they didn't want to name, and I want to know what that was about.
I'm sure it's just like, let's just make some vague references to make people speculate.
Yeah, probably.
That's the way I look at it.
But if that is or will end up being a thing, I'm kind of curious as to what that would be. Because it seems like that would be something quite strange to just drop in there like that, especially without giving a name.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But all good things.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't a bad issue.
Yeah, I liked it. And with Bendis, he's going to try to use it to cue things up for future stories. So probably a lot of nuggets to be deciphered from this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I wanted to, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, well, some of these are probably red herrings, but there's definitely some stuff that Bendis is dropping hints about in these Generations issues. Or at least all the Marvel. I was also even all the Marvel Generations books are dropping hints as to where they're headed in these Generations books.
Yeah, or I guess we're in the upcoming Legacy,
right?
This miniseries event. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but yeah, and they're definitely he's definitely trying to make Tony Stark Sorcerer Supreme a thing, which I don't know. I'm kind of with it, but at the same time, it's still weird. As I said in my notes, was like I would never get used to saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So. Also, of like a total aside, but in the physical pages of the book, there's an ad for Alex Ross's website, which I thought was interesting. From Marvel.
Okay.
So it's like it's alexrossart.com, and hey, if you like his art. So I thought that was the first time I'd ever seen that. Granted, I don't read too many physical books, but that was the first time I'd actually seen something like that in a book. So I thought it was kind of worth noting because of that.
definitely seen the ads online. So yeah, that might be something new.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. So rapid fire time.
I think so.
You want to just cover all the Star Wars in rapid fire? Okay.
Sure, I'll do that. It won't take
Let's
it up on
do
the
it.
phone.
Alrighty.
And first off, I'll start from the bottom up. Star Wars Adventures #1. So basically, this is an all ages book from IDW. In fact, here is one of the covers right here that I'm holding up. The other cover is actually inside the book somewhere. While I'm looking at that, so basically, this is an all ages book with a couple of tales in the Star Wars universe. So here's the second cover right here. Actually, I almost picked that one up because the shop I went to only had like one copy.
Okay.
Of that cover, but I was like, you know what, somebody else might want that one a little bit more, so I got this one. But yeah, so the first and if the cover and that second issue, the second cover is in the indication, the first story is talking about is a story from Rey's past while she was still on Jakku. And if you have, which weirdly enough, I just watched Force Awakens again a couple of days prior to this, and I honestly I knew this book was coming out, but I didn't know it was coming out this week, so it was kind of totally unrelated. That being said, so her story has to deal with her having, for some reason, to save Unkar Plutt, which is the big dude voiced by Simon. Oh shoot, what is his name? He plays Scotty in the new Star Trek. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now, but anyway, his character has to be saved because he gets kidnapped. So what?
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg. Thank you. I don't know why I should know that name. I mean, I should know that name, and I don't know why I blanked. Anyway, so yes, voiced by Simon Pegg. So Rey has to go and save his character because he gets kidnapped for what seems to be having to do with some droid that she found, and not BB-8, because this looks like it takes place well before that. And then there's this other underboss that kind of comes in and tries to take over the place where she's living and trying to make a living and whatnot. But we see a good little bit of action from Rey and some inner monologue at the same time with that. The second story is a tale. Well, actually, that tale looks like it's gonna keep going for the next issue. The next tale is looks like a one and done with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Coruscant helping out Dex, which, if you remember the prequels, Dex was the owner of the diner that Obi-Wan, and I guess he did show up in Clone Wars once or twice, actually, also that Obi-Wan frequented. And this was like it was more of a tale within a tale, because this was basically somebody recounting that story.
Okay.
That was told to them. And then there was like a little moral at the end of it that came back into the person's view, basically. So this is what seems to be the crux of the Star Wars Adventures, and looks like there's going to be 2 tales per issue. And I think Rey's got this first arc, and actually, if you go by the covers that I'm holding up, like, it's not just going to be just her, but it's going to be going around various places, looks like, in the universe, but starting off to be her, or it may be focused on her in the first one, and then the back tales are going to be other tales we don't know. But so far it's pretty good. Like I say, if you have kids that are into Star Wars, and I guess specifically the newer stuff, give it a try. There's nothing offensive about this book, and the art's nice, and like I said, it's pretty neat. Dark Darth Vader, number 5, going on. And I guess, well, I just showed that cover, but that's the cover I had up anyway. Darth Vader, number 5. So Vader ended part 1 of his quest, and that was to get a lightsaber from a Jedi, which he's done that. The Emperor sends him back to a familiar planet that
it's a hot place.
Yes, that you might say birthed Darth Vader in the prequels, which this is taken pretty much right after the prequels happened. So there you go. To corrupt the Kyber crystal that he is now in possession of from said Jedi's lightsaber. And that doesn't happen right off the bat because there's some sort of the Kyber crystal kind of reacts to Vader and sends him on a dreamscape, and to which Vader overcomes and presents, and after overcoming, presents to his master, aka the Emperor. And that ends that.
Yeah, it was a pretty uninteresting issue, to be honest.
It seems slightly rushed, but I mean, after the last few issues of kind of getting to where it is now, I guess you kind of had to move it along,
right?
So yeah, it is what it is. Where it's going to go after this, we don't know. But so yeah, now he has the saber we all know and love, hate / whatever,
right?
And last but not least, vying for the title of longest comic book title in recent history, Journey to Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and if you want to add Star Wars again, Captain Phasma. So, hey, you remember that part of Force Awakens? Coming back to that again, actually, where Captain Phasma comes in and has her part and then promptly exits? Guess what? This takes place right after that. So we see Phasma escaping the trash compactor, and it is told within the 10 minutes, I guess, that it took for Starkiller Base to explode, having brought down the shields at gunpoint thanks to Finn and Han. This is her kind of getting her bearings, recounting it, and actually, apparently, we found and erasing her tracks at that, because she gets out of the trash compactor, goes to erase her tracks, and then comes to find out that somebody else was also looking at the shield logs, and what looks to have also all brought down the shields either after she did it or something. I'm not entirely sure about it, but there was somebody also in the records, so she was trying to get them before they could probably tell anybody of note that she was the one that brought down the shields. But they made it sound like this person was the one who brought down the shields after her, or kept the shields down or something. I'm not entirely sure, but she goes after him anyway as a traitor, and that's what leads into her chasing this person around Starkiller Base while things are blowing up, because this was after the Resistance starts its bombing run and whatnot. It also it kind of alludes to the battle between Kylo Ren and Finn and Rey in the forest, because she ends up close to near to where that is, but then she sees her target and then goes back after them again, but the target escapes by a TIE fighter, and she promptly goes after them with another TIE fighter, with a TIE fighter pilot in tow. And that's where this issue leads off. I believe this is actually a mini-series. Yeah, so here's her on her merry chase after this supposed traitor. To what end?
Okay.
That's it. But like I said, it was all right. Like I said, it was an interesting read. There wasn't nothing great shakes about it, but if you are curious about, assuming this is probably the stuff that they weren't going to get into when Last Jedi comes out anyway, because clearly she makes it out of the trash trash compactor, like Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit. So we basically just see that and then get her out of there, which is pretty much what this sets up.
Okay.
And I imagine it's going to take steps to kind of get to go towards The Last Jedi, considering it is, as it's named, the journey to The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Last Jedi. So there's that.
Alrighty, so you've covered one of my books, which is Darth Vader. So the rest of my rapid fire books are as follows. All New Guardians of the Galaxy #9. In sum, this issue explains why the current iteration of Groot is sort of stuck in a baby Groot form. So if you are interested in finding out what's what, take a look at this issue. I believe it is an Elder of the Universe that is at fault in at the root cause of this, and that is a hint as to which Elder of the Universe. Astonishing X-Men #3. We continue the battle between what we think or what we believe to be a psychic remnant of Charles Xavier versus Amal Farouk, the Shadow King. There is some doubt laid, some questions posed with regards to whether or not this is, in fact, truly Professor X. So, that's where that is. If you're interested in reading the better X-Men story this week, you should read Astonishing X-Men #3, because X-Men Gold #11 was trash. No offense to Mark Guggenheim. I think the fault really does lay at the feet of the artist in this issue. It's pretty bad. The artist in this is Lan Medina, and inks by Craig Young, but what is kind of a story straight out of the mid '90s involving Russia and the Russian super soldier Omega Red, I guess would have been sold better with better art. The story itself is kind of thin. It involves a distant, not a distant relation. Let's call it an estranged relation of Colossus and Magic, calling them back to Russia, and it has something to do with Omega Red. But at the end of the day, the heroes win out. The X-Men are victorious, but I think that the battle scenes, the fight between Omega Red and various X-Men would have been sold so much better if the art had been, a little bit more on the super heroic side. Put it at that. So that was pretty disappointing. So that covers the X books I read this week. Daredevil #26 was actually a runner-up candidate for Click of the Week for me, because we finally jump out of the storyline that had Matt Murdock arguing the case of putting masked vigilantes on the witness stand in court. And we kind of circle back to the story of Daredevil's partner / sidekick / mentee, Blind Spot. And Blind Spot's story is picked up right off the bat, because for readers of Daredevil, he had Blind Spot had been injured, severely injured by the villain of the previous arc, and we finally catch up with Blind Spot's current whereabouts, and let's just say he's significantly changed between since the last time we saw him. So pick this up if you're looking to start fresh with some super heroics by Daredevil. He also finds himself in a foreign land for the start of this issue, or for the start of this arc. Let's see. We have, I believe, I am just left with. Nope. Looks like we covered it all. So we are at Clicks of the Week time. Clicks of the Week, everybody.
I believe Tim already said his. Oh,
Has Tim stepped away?
You may have.
Possibly. All right. How about I'll take the lead and we'll finish up with Tim, see if he comes back. It was a dog fight. Oh!
Woof.
For my click of the week this week. But I am going to again and shout out to G Dog. That was some awesome stuff by Kurt Busiek this week. I'm definitely going to tune into the next issue of Astro City, but I'm going to go with Black Bolt number 5 as my click of the week. Woof. That is the dialogue of one Lockjaw in that issue. Woof.
I would hope so. Should Lockjaw talk? Now would be a good time to have some Atomic Dog, and I wish I really had that queued up. Sam, go ahead and reiterate yours because I need a second.
Mine is Generations Iron Man and Ironheart number 1. Very surprising issue that I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did.
And I am almost inclined to agree with you. Because that issue actually was pretty good. As I'm sitting here doing something totally different. I am going to go with, oh dear. You know what? Screw it. I am going to second that notion. Generations Iron Man and Ironheart number 1. Because I was going to go with Champions, and it was good, but I was like, it usually is good, so that's not really changing much. So there you go.
Cool. All righty. So with that, we are at the end of our review portion. We may be bidding adieu to one at TimDog98 for this evening.
Yes, sir.
You got any plugs for this week? Any referrals for stories?
I think Roddy Cat has some of my news articles in the news section
Cool.
for this week. I enjoyed the X-Force news and didn't read some articles about that going up next week. I did write something about Titans and will be appearing as Robin or Nightwing on there. And Mario's out of the plumbing business.
Wait, did you write that one?
On Nerdist, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I saw the CBR article, but I didn't see the Nerdist one. So, yeah, that's a weird one.
Real quick, Tim, can you tell us about DragonCon?
Oh yeah,
DragonCon was cool. Walked around some of the hotels, and one of the hotels that was hosting the vendors had like their line like wrapped around the whole building just to enter. So that was kind of wild to see.
Was it just the vendor building? Because I know that they usually threw that.
That's the only one we saw that had a line just like that long that wrapped around the building.
That building's kind of hot and cramped. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd actually attend DragonCon after at least walking the streets for.
Yikes!
Because you have to
endorsement.
Well, no. It's I don't know. Well, let him say his reason first. Because I've been before.
For that is to make it worthwhile. You need to get a hotel there, sort of nearby, because you have to pay for parking. Actually,
well, you don't unless you know the secret spots. Because a friend of mine told me about there was a couple of spots that you don't have to pay as much or not at all.
I mean, one we got was like $20 for the day.
Yeah, I've heard of places that are less, but again, that was a couple of years ago.
But say you actually like stay at one of the host hotels. Who knows what that goes for a night? At least 3 or 4 nights of staying. Friday, say you do Friday, Saturday, and check out Sunday. I guess it's 2 nights. So that's not too bad.
I can safely say that it's at least when I went, it was a little over $1,000, and I was kind of slightly off of it. I wasn't in one of the host ones. I was in like a little down the street.
See, you're just down the street and you're talking about $1,000.
Yeah, so yeah, it's ridiculous.
So there's the
but it was
price
but
for
it was
that,
also
the
close
price
enough
for
to where
food.
yeah,
Price for food.
it's kind of
gotta
ridiculous.
for us have to factor in money to board the dogs for the week, or find a hotel that allows pets, but then you have a pet fee. All them somewhere. Schedule time
Okay,
for that.
so here's my question to you though: how viable would it for you to park and ride and go in for the day?
However much it costs to park and ride for the day.
I mean, would that be
That'd be an
something?
And then that's like,
That's what
Yeah.
Bobbycat, you know.
I mean, that's if you're just doing like doing a day is fine, but if you want to enjoy a con, you need to really like spend 2 days there at least.
Yeah, but
True.
at the same time, I would compare that to going to New York Comic Con. You know, as a New Yorker, I'm basically commuting to the con every day. So, you know, with that, I guess that's essentially what Roddy's getting at.
Well, but the difference is you
Yeah,
live in the
that's
city,
New York Comic Con.
and Tim's kind of outlow a ways from Atlanta, or not that far, but still far enough to where it probably wouldn't make any sense to go driving back and forth.
Really?
Yeah,
I would rent.
I'm over an hour and a half away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not that far.
So I get that part, but yeah, I was just kind of curious. Like,
Yeah, that's an hour and a half highway driving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not city driving. Yeah. I got you. That's
and then the Saturday. The Saturday in Atlanta is always going to be crazy packed because there's always going to be a kickoff of college football at the Georgia Dome or Atlanta Falcons Stadium that just opened last weekend. The madhouse in that whole area.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, ugh. Rather just do like Heroes Con, or hopefully come this time next month will be in New York for New York Comic Con.
Right.
More on that later.
Exactly. We will discuss.
But yeah, I'm gonna get going. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for holding it down. And see y'all next week.
Got it. Peace.
Peace.
All right, Tim.
All righty. So
Later.
we transition into our first ad read of the night. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, vacuum cleaner, dry belts. That's a hint at what I recently ordered from Amazon. For every purchase, the brush fan belt. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. That helps us keep the Click Nation's Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
And as we go into the cinematic news, we start off with me doing a screen share because, yeah. There we go. Wait, was that the first one? That's not the first one.
Okay, as I take a look and see what Rowdy Cat is referring to.
Here we go. Stupid thingies. Justice League character posters offer a closer look at each hero. So this looks like it's the same style as the previous poster, but just individual character posters. So you see them in the Alex Ross inspired style, which is weird because I'm not sure if I'm liking the Flash's costume in that.
Yeah, that looks weird.
Looks like some Mad Max type stuff going on. Well, but then again, I guess it was like, well, no, I made it myself.
It looks a little weird.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're watching the video, you can see the character portraits of each one, and there's some folks' favorite Aquaman.
Okay.
Not showing skin as they're used to, as they're, I'm sure, sort of disappointed in, but that's fine. They'll be fine. Next up.
So, it is reported that the director for Suicide Squad 2 has been chosen, and it is Gavin O'Connor, recently of The Accountant, Ben Affleck movie. So good for him. Hopefully he can reclaim or at least
Collusion.
or at least he can point the Suicide Squad movies into good direction.
What would be funny is we found out sometime later on is like we're using a script that Affleck wrote.
Underwater.
They're not saying this, and I'm not saying it. Oh.
Underwater.
I can't see it. Oh, this is not good.
Roddy Cat's underwater. Underwater.
And I can't.
The reason why I'm actually waiting, I'm waiting for Roddy Cat to come out from underwater because the next story is perfect for this. It's perfect. Are you back?
No.
All right. So I will take the next story. Aquaman actor Ludi Lin says the DC extended universe film Aquaman is Star Wars underwater. Oh no!
There we go. That should be better.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. It took me. The computer was hitching up probably because of all these tabs I got open. But anyway, yeah, that's a strange way to call this movie, but yeah.
Probably just because
of
submarine, like underwater vehicles that will, make it look like it's make them look like starships, underwater.
Or well, I think they're saying in scope, like almost epic. This what it seems to be alluding to, as far as the scope is concerned. At least that's what this article is suggesting. And it's worth noting that Ludi Lin, aka Power Rangers star, or the movie adaptation of the Power Rangers, is playing a character named Merc, who is an Atlantean. Excuse me, he is the general of the Atlantean army. So there you go.
All right.
Moving along before my computer starts to
close some tab.
I know. Well, I'm trying to do that as we do this. Inside Wonder Woman's creation with the first Professor Marston and Wonder Woman clip. So if you did not know, and we did talk about this last week, but there is going to be a biopic on Professor William Moulton Marston, the creator of Wonder Woman. This one, this Christmas has to do with him leading up to the creation of his life, leading up to the creation of Wonder Woman, and the people who inspired Wonder Woman, aka his wife and his lover.
Okay.
And yes, the lover was not a mistress, but someone that was in both of their lives. So there is that. But anyway, here is a clip of it, and that is going to be screened at the TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival on October 13th. No, I'm sorry. It'll be there in September for that film festival and come out in theaters October 13th. So if you're interested, go check that out. Next up.
Alrighty. So the young version of Supergirl has been recast for the upcoming season of the show. Isabella Vidovich is replacing Melina Weissman as Supergirl's young Kara Danvers, reports Entertainment Weekly. And Vidovich will debut as the younger version of Melissa Benoist's Supergirl in the 6th episode of this upcoming third season in an episode titled Midvale.
As to the whereabouts of the former young Kara, she is in Netflix's a series of unfortunate events, and that is the reason for the recasting.
Okay.
Next up, Liam Hall joins Arrow as Slade Wilson's son. Apparently, Joe Wilson is coming to Arrow, which I'm not like. I know he has 2 sons.
So this is Jericho.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, this is Jericho because there's Slade. Slade has 2 sons, Joe and I forget the other kid's name. Oh goodness.
Yeah, and then there's Rose, but
right, exactly, the guy that became the Ravager.
Right, who's dead.
Dies, right?
Yeah. But which is, if you've been reading recent issues of
Grant Wilson.
Grant, thank you. Yeah, there you go.
You put it in the article or in the write-up. I gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, well, then it's in the article. So yeah, there we go. So Jericho is coming to Arrow. I'm going to assume this is going to be before Pre-Powers. Because as you said, he becomes Jericho and apparently mute and whatever else. I'm still not really sure about that character, so I don't know too much about it.
Originally, Jericho could basically possess people by making eye contact with them. So he basically, entered into the host body after making eye contact.
Okay.
And took over, the host body.
Okay. Alrighty then. And I guess that still plays, because now that I think about it, it sounds like that's something that may have happened in the Teen Titans / Deathstroke crossover.
Okay. So I'm going to ring the bell here because I did not know this was in the works. So I have been off the Flash for a while, a number of seasons, and I did not realize this was going to happen in the TV show. On the Flash, Barry and Iris will finally marry in season 4. So though they've only been an official item for a short period of time, Barry and Iris are poised to finally get married in the Flash's next season. So I guess it's going to happen at some point. They haven't revealed which episode it's going to happen in, but it's bound to happen this season.
Right, but first they have to bring Barry back from where he was at the end of season 3, which if you don't know, or if you read the comic, kind of where he was, because it is a large part of who he is.
Okay,
not to go into that. Good thing, cool. So September 5th, this past September 5th, was the 25th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put these 2 articles together myself, so I will do them. And the first article is, that being said, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy revealed their favorite Batman the Animated Series episodes. Like I said, talking with both of those people during the for the said anniversary they were given, and I believe Conroy's was Perchance to Dream.
Okay.
And Hamill's was, well, Hamill had a longer list, The Laughing Fish amongst them. So yeah, Mark Hamill being Mark Hamill. So,
right.
But it's a good article if you check out the show notes, which is at bit.ly/CBC231. You can see it in there. I should have put that in my lower thirds, but that's fine.
And anyone who has access to Amazon Video can go watch those episodes right now through that application.
They have a weird order in like they have a weird they're kind of out of order,
right? Or
in some different order in that case. But yeah, you can still get them all there, so it's all good. And it's great stuff. And they also have Superman the Animated Series also, but you know what, it's the 2 series. Nevertheless, Batman the Animated Series' original Joker actor revealed and why he was fired. Now, I didn't think it was unknown who this person was.
It was news to me when I found out. I was surprised. I had not been in the know on this particular tidbit.
Gotcha. I had heard of this before. This is why I am saying that. So I don't know if that was like widely known knowledge, but I did not know why he was not cast. And we come to find out in this article that he was fired because, and who we're talking about is noted actor Tim Curry, who was originally slated to play the Joker in the series, had the role for a while, but he had bronchitis and they fired him.
Wow.
Says he. As he recounts to some site.
You should have had ATA back then, huh? So oh boy. The history of healthcare in this country.
Yeah.
Sad. So,
but he went on to do Clue, or I think Clue was before that, so never mind. I think Clue was before that. Regardless, you know what? Tim Curry did all right for himself.
Oh, of course.
But nevertheless, it would be probably a slightly different take. Tim Curry does still do voice work every now and then now, I believe. So you will see him around. All right. Next up.
So, continuing on a slightly political tangent, Chloe Bennett, who plays Sky / Quake on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., made some statements recently about whitewashing in Hollywood, and stated bluntly that Hollywood is racist because in the wake of Ed Skrein rescinding his acceptance of the role of Ben Daimio in the upcoming Hellboy reboot, Chloe Bennett came out and said, well, she only changed her last name to a stage name because she wouldn't have been cast or wouldn't have been able to get jobs otherwise. And that's
in fact, she was being told as much, I think, according to what she said on her Instagram post.
Right. So ultimately, what she came out and said is she did it. She changed her name so that in the future, her hope is that other young actresses of Asian descent don't have to.
Right, and the reason why that all came out because, like Agent 70 said, that she was talking about Ed Skrein leaving Hellboy, and somebody in her comment just so happened to call her out on the fact that she changed her name, started her Hollywood career, which led to her statements. So there you go. Next up. There are no current plans for Ms. Marvel in Inhumans, says Jeff Loeb, which probably is a good thing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I will do the next article also because this is also Inhumans related. My thing is, if they're going to do Ms. Marvel, albeit live action, hopefully, you know what? They could allude to her on Inhumans, but then just kind of spin it off into her own show because I think she's worth having her own.
She's a strong enough character.
Exactly. She's a very strong enough character to have her own show and carry it. And hopefully they would not make it a comedy like they're doing, like they're seeming to be going towards lately. So, because they have a good chance to do a nice, family drama, or family /
a teen drama.
Yeah.
It would be a teen drama. This would be Marvel's female teen drama.
Mm-hmm. So we're saying that it would be dope that they would make a live action. Just don't peg her too much to the Inhumans so much.
Right. And when it comes to concerns about the Inhumans that you were alluding to earlier, I have not yet watched the Inhumans. I know PCN_Dirt did, and he passes along word that the second half is stronger than the first of the 2-hour premiere movie.
Oh, of the IMAX premiere, yeah.
Right. So that's encouraging, but at the same time, reviews have been fairly harsh.
And speaking of, reportedly, ABC has concerns over Marvel's Inhumans, according to Variety, which of course cites unnamed sources. Concerns over quality of Inhumans episodes, both the special effects of early cuts and the underpinning scripts, were a source of contention. So, and of course, as most people know, especially if you're following along, Inhumans has not been taken too kindly in the court of social media.
Yep. Scott
especially
Buck,
just coming off
no,
of.
stay away from Marvel, please.
So yeah, like I said, we still hope that it turns out to be all right. But yeah, it's I don't know.
It's disheartening.
Yeah, basically, assuming that this is actually true, that you know that. But then again, it is a network, and networks have sometimes unfounded concerns over properties that they don't know too much about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neither here nor there. But nevertheless,
Alrighty. So moving
that
on.
is that. Moving on.
How about I combine these next two Spidey related stories? So there is a video. I guess it's going to be included with the home release of the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Video of Tom Holland performing his own stunts, and that's pretty. Listen, this young kid is athletic. He is coordinated. He has got some serious acrobatic and just kind of parkour like skills. So
apparently, he was a gymnast or had some sort of this
he grew up as a
background
gymnast and a dancer.
Okay, that explains a whole lot with given a couple of performances he has done. Then
Exactly. Came up as he was cast in the role of Billy Elliot, like a tap dancing kid.
Okay, that I did not remember, but I
or is it
remember
ballet dancing?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It might be ballet dancing. Come to think of it,
I think so. Yeah.
right? So,
wait, what he was Billy Elliot or
no? But he played the role of Billy Elliot in like
right? That's what I'm saying.
Right, he played the in the London stage production.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in a movie. Gotcha. I was saying.
Right. No, because that movie he would be way too young to be in that movie.
I was about to say, yeah.
So
Okay.
the second Spider-Man story I'm going to include is that the Silver and Black spin-off is going to include the Wild Pack, which are supporting characters of Silver Sable out of Symkaria, kind of like her Task Force X type of group.
And as far as we still know, this movie still won't have anything to do with Spider-Man. So technically,
stay away.
So technically, those two articles had nothing to do with each other. Next up, on the Star Wars front, Colin Trevorrow is no longer directing Star Wars Episode 9.
Hold on.
I believe reason cited was the tried and true and oft used creative differences.
Sure.
So now Lucasfilm is now looking for a replacement for that. And in fact, I saw a Twitter post from someone don't know if they're even affiliated with Lucasfilm or not, saying something about you are over Lucasfilm. You get to decide who takes over the role basically. And they was asking people, who would you pick? And of course, there have been people, here and there picking their choices for who they would pick to direct. And of course, there's also another article saying in 1977 that George Lucas said that he wanted to direct the last Star Wars movie.
You want to fold in the next two stories?
I shall do so. Dang it. Stupid computer. Oh, I can't wait to switch over to my other computer. Star Wars The Last Jedi image offers up close look at Snoke. Now, last week right before Force Friday, we said that there was a toy that gave a picture of his likeness. Here we have an actual picture that's coming off of the Topps. I want to say baseball card, but the Star Wars card, which I'm guessing is going to be in the Topps Star Wars app, trading card app. I'm going to assume that this came from. Yep, it said that. And it's a close picture at Snoke, who looks like a Star Trek alien. Or he's just, corrupted by the Force. Take your pick. Next up, new Star Wars Rebels Season 4 trailer debuts, and also the debut date is given. I watched this trailer. It's awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, actually this is the second trailer, but it's awesome. Season 4 is going to be the last season of Star Wars Rebels, sadly, as we have previously found out. And it will start on Monday, October 16th, with the promise of all paths come together. And if you've watched that trailer, it sounds like that's the case, because there are some references made in there that kind of brings us closer to a couple of certain places.
Okay.
In the Star Wars timeline. And if you're not watching Rebels, what are you doing? If you're a Star Wars fan, what are you doing?
Trying to catch up Game of Thrones, maybe. That's my excuse. So there's a report out that says Deadpool 2 and New Mutants movies have both completed production. So apparently the report from Deadline explained that the New Mutants movie has already been completed production, as in post-production now, for release on April 30th or April 13th of 2018, while Deadpool 2 is in post-production now, in preparation for a release on June 1st of 2018. That's a pretty quick turnaround for the New Mutants movie, which seemed to have been filmed in less than 2 months, which probably doesn't bode well.
And we haven't heard, like, we know of some castings from it,
right,
but there seems to be,
they've been under the radar.
Missing. Yeah. So like I said, we know of some, and there's a couple of high profile names in there, but it's like, seems like the casting hasn't finished, but apparently the production has. We'll see how that turns out when it comes out April 13th of next year. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, and of course, yeah, and Deadpool 2 comes at June 1st of next year. So I don't think at this point we're worried too much about Deadpool giving the showing of the last one, but it could turn around. Yeah, New Mutants seems to be a wild card here, I guess. So next up. Oh shit, I missed one. Sorry. And that is
there's a report that there's a Sheena film in the works. Next.
Yes.
Next. I know you want to
next.
I know you want to get to this story. That's why you skipped that one.
Yeah. Well, no, I just missed it when I clicked on the link, but nevertheless, it wasn't. Don't know too much about that comic anyway. So that said, because actually, speaking of Star Wars, Looking for Leia documentary finds community and connection in our differences. So I'm guessing this is a filmmaker named Annalise Ophelian. Apparently, she is notable to the writer of this article. They're making a movie about fandom. It's about women, and it's about Star Wars. So it's about women in Star Wars fandom. So if you are in that category, or if you're a fan of Star Wars, and looking for another documentary to check out, go look at that. Go check it out whenever it comes out. I don't think it even says when that's coming, but look out for that in the near future. Next.
So, as per Chris Hemsworth, aka Thor Odin's son of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor Ragnarok's Hela is the MCU's most complex villain, and that is not a big or high bar to cross in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Some of these villains have had fairly shallow motivations, but it's nice to see that they are plumbing the depths of Hela's character a bit, and hoping that she is one of the better cinematic villains out there.
Some would say she's hella complex.
Oh no!
A hilk. And actually, I threw this in here. But speaking of Thor Ragnarok, which, by the way, tickets have gone on sale today for Thor Ragnarok. So
Yeah, I saw that.
Go to your outlet of choice and have at it. Meanwhile, the Revengers, not Lamar the Revenger, debut in new Thor Ragnarok preview. And also, it's not that a bit of according to this article, not that bit of obscure Avengers history. Which, geez, I had totally forgot about the Revengers. Oh wow. So yeah, Thor and the Hulk's team, aka Team Thor Hulk, I don't know what you want to call it, gets a new name in Thor Ragnarok, and it is the Revengers. So that would be the team of Thor, Hulk, Loki, Valkyrie. I think that's it, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it. Hey, guess what? Thor Ragnarok comes out in a couple of months. Go check it.
Not even. It's like, barely less than 2 months now.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you're right. And there's a little video coming that comes with this article that I guess says so.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Next. Wonder Woman's Gal Gadot, or is it Gadot or Gadot? Because I've heard two different things. I heard it's Gadot. Anyway, nearly played Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road. I've still yet to see Mad Max Fury Road, but I hear good things about that one.
I know it's on. I believe it's on HBO. I should finally get around to watching this.
Yeah, no, I'm saying this. I said the same thing because it is out there on cable somewhere. So that would be an interesting take. I guess it would be a decidedly different take, maybe, but we don't know. I mean, could have been still along the same lines.
Okay. So,
and this article brings up her role in Fast and Furious and da da da. I was like, man, they need to bring her back for that series.
Yeah. So our next story is
which brings up something that still kills me about what was it, 6?
Fast
which is the one that killed her, I believe. Yeah.
Because
how the hell did the bad guy who the bad guy ends up living, but she didn't, and she fell from a spoiler for Fast and Furious 6. She fell from
movies ago, damn it, but okay.
No, but some people still probably might not have it. How in the world did she's dead and he's alive after falling out from basically the same plane, and she was at a lower altitude, even though it was going like 100 miles an hour.
Right, he wasn't in the explosion. He was in the explosion. She wasn't. So I think it's implied that he probably was caught in like the tail end of the explosion.
Yeah, I don't know. But then again, we didn't see a body, so she could come back.
That's true.
And Han could come back.
That's true. Although Han is a little tougher because it was implied that he actually did get, but
didn't see a body. Right. Well,
let's not go into. Listen, we could do a whole show.
I know.
On the because we never did a Fast 8. Whatchamacallit?
I still haven't seen it yet either. Yeah.
Tim did. Tim and I, were the ones who did the Treasury Edition for Fast 7. So, we haven't gotten around to doing one for Fast 8. I don't know if we ever will, but I definitely have my issues with the events of Fast 8. So, or Furious 8, or what the hell they're calling it. So,
yeah, Furious 8. I've been meaning to watch it, but I was trying to wait on my significant other. But
sure.
Anyway, going back to the comic book news real fast. The Powerpuff Girls are getting a new member, a 4th member, and she is voiced by a young lady of color, actually, named Toya something or other.
Poor Toya.
I apologize. Well, I say that because that is my fault for not getting the addendum to this article that I have, because I only got this earlier. Mm-hmm. But on Twitter, she's been there's a picture of her in the booth, looking very excited about getting the role. So nice. It's cool, and I think the next season is coming quite soon.
As somebody sweet loads up.
That's me.
So our next and last movie related news item is the Magic School Bus rides again. Are you on board? So it's the first week of school, America.
Let's see. So So basically,
Bus is back.
Yes, and apparently it is Mrs. Frizzle's little sister who's taking the role of teacher, and apparently the Frizz is a professor now. Here we go. Toya DeLazy, is at Toya DeLazy at on Twitter. So go and say congratulations. Like, so there's a picture. If you're watching the video, there's a picture of her in the booth. She's cute. But yeah, so yeah, Magic School Bus is back. The Frizz is a professor. Her little sister's taking over. And if you looking at the video, you can see a picture of the Frizz and her little sister, whose name is Miss Fiona Felicity Frizzle.
Yikes.
I don't know. It just rolls off the tongue. And apparently Lily Tomlin reprises her role as Mrs. Frizzle, or actually Professor Frizzle at this point, looking as this article, or actually it's not even as this article points out, as the Twitter post for this article turns out, she had switched up from she has switched up her style to be a little more conservative. I can't say how the Twitter post said it, but it was kind of funny when I thought about it. So yeah, Magic School Bus is coming back, and it is coming back quite soon, aka actually what, a week or so, a couple of weeks ago, September 29th on Netflix. So if you're interested, go check it out. There's also a trailer out there if you so desire to seek it out. Now we're in the comic book news, and we start off in the video game corner.
All right, so we have two video game stories leading off comic book news. So recently, Marvel has been hyping its upcoming slate of licensed video games, but one particular game has garnered some attention, and that is an Avengers title from Crystal Dynamics. So there's some new details dropped. According to IGN, the Avengers project will be a third-person action title with a focus on shared and social online play. And there's
Dynamics. Well, before we go any further, so yeah, this is the one that we don't know too much about. This is the I believe we kind of alluded to some other another post too about it. Like they've talked about this at E3 in brief, and I think this is coming like 2019 or next year or something like that. But nevertheless, Crystal Dynamics, if you are versed in the video games, are the ones making the recent Tomb Raider games, which have gotten pretty good reviews on. So there's some pretty high hopes, or at the very least, some excitement about this Avengers project. So yes, now we can go on to the next one.
Well, the next one is just a slate of the comic book related video game releases upcoming. So take a look at our show notes and follow the link to Newsarama. To Newsarama for a listing of the comic book video games set to be released.
Wait, Rogue Trooper is I guess it was a comic book, but it wasn't. Anyway, that's weird.
Either way, so just take a look at it, see, so you can set your budgets accordingly.
Yeah, really. I mean, a lot of stuff is not. Well, actually, yeah. This is so basically most of this list is the rest of this year, and then the couple that we know about from 2018, including the Avengers project and that Spider-Man game, which is going to be awesome. I hope.
Sure.
So yeah, there's that. Next up, Doomsday Clock. Batman reads Rorschach's journal in new promo image. So yeah, the countdown to the November release of the Doomsday Clock has officially started. DC Comics is rolling out the promos for it, and here we have Batman doing some light reading.
Ha! That's funny.
Yeah. So there you go. Watchmen, folks.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're not familiar.
So Jason Fabok's cover to Batman the Devastator for Metal has been released. Lots of spikiness.
Yes, a character we have seen probably one too many times in recent history.
Mm-hmm.
Is looks like to be on the cover of the book. So there you go. We alluded to this earlier, but Tom King teases Catwoman's answer to Batman's proposal. We will apparently see the answer in Batman 32, which will be coming on October 4th. So the long-standing nightmare will be finally over.
A couple more issues.
Yes,
I think it's bi-weekly. So
yeah. And we see here a picture from Tom King's Twitter, which is nice.
Teasing.
Yep. That could go either way.
Mm-hmm. So the next story is Harley Quinn invades classic DC covers for Batman Day. So Harley Quinn is going to be featured in honor of the 25th anniversary of her creation on covers to DC books. This is the insertion of Harley into some of the classic Batman covers. Roddy Cat is scrolling through some of them. Admittedly, some of them look pretty funny.
Actually, yeah, there's only a couple of them here if you're watching the video. But yeah, they're interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is, I would think, is not the first time they've had a Harley on a rush of covers. But, sure, it is what it is. The fact that they've kind of co-opted Batman Day to do it is kind of funny also. But speaking of Harley Quinn gets a thrill ride at Six Flags Over Texas.
It's how popular the character is now.
There you go. Yeah, and it is called Spin Sanity. And apparently this is a part of, I almost want to go to Six Flags Texas, because apparently this is a part of the area called Gotham City.
Okay.
Where they already have a Joker ride, a Catwoman ride called the Catwoman Whip, and the Riddler Revenge. And you can see the video that looks like to be there's a video which shows how the ride operates.
Alrighty. So, the cover to Kevin Maguire's omnibus collection of Justice League International is pretty epic. And
sure.
Yeah, I think our own Roddy Cat has shown an image in our live feed, the YouTube live feed of the cover preview. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a second. Now I am not versed in JLI, so I don't know most of these characters. I would go so far to say, but JLI was pretty much a bunch of would you say C&D list?
Or lower
leaguers. Yeah. But this cover also shows a bunch of villains, which should have threw me off, because I was like, wait, did they have villains in the league before the last couple of years? Because that would be strange.
Not 100% sure.
Yeah, but I think as this article says, it's like now they just threw a bunch in there. So the question I have about this issue, and I don't know how your JLI knowledge is, but
it's very slim.
Okay, where's Matt Wang when you need him? Or Dirt. But I'm wondering who this dude is next to Kilowog, because he's just like, he's there just holding his head. I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. This is embarrassing. I'm just
now you're gonna make me look this up. Hold on. Let's see.
And I thought this dude down here under the bottom, this old gray dude, is Oberon, which I only know because of the name and recent,
All right, where am I looking?
Kilowog, right next to the
with the head down.
Yeah.
Kind of in a group of Green Lanterns. Hard to say if that's a Green Lantern or not.
Yeah, and he does have green on or whatnot, so it could be maybe one of those. And
hard to tell.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that apparently there's a couple of iterations of of Max Lord in here.
Okay,
I wouldn't know, but yeah. So there you go. But that omnibus comes out. The JLI omnibus comes out October 17th. Was this now? Do you know this much? Was this where Batman clocked Guy Gardner?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. As we see him down at the bottom looking smug.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moving right along, that ought to be a treat. I don't know if I'd pick that up or not, but hey, that seems like something cool to thumb through. Next up, Koto Bukiya debuts stunning Bishojo statue for Supergirl. It looks cool. There's nothing else to say. They do good work. Most of it's a little, some would say, a little cheesecakey.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but
there's a market out there for that.
Yeah, but it looks good. That being said, so here's a funny aside. I ordered some months ago. I ordered the Miss Marvel Bishoju statue from Big Bang Toy Story, and I went to go check on my order and come to find out I had ordered it twice.
Oh no!
Luckily, I was able to it hadn't come out yet because I think it comes out sometime this month, as a matter of fact. But luckily, I was able to cancel one. I was like, as much as I love Miss Marvel and I want one,
having two is probably just a bit much, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And while those things are not that terribly expensive, that's still a good bit much. And this one actually is going to Supergirl one is actually supposedly retailing for $84.99.
All right.
So, like I said, if you're so inclined, go check that out. Next up.
So I have some awards list. I think I may just combine these and direct people to take a look at the full list of the winners available online. The Dresden Files swept comic categories at the 2017 Dragon Con Awards.
I would, before you go any further with this, I would go so far as to say that if you are a fan of Magic, the Dresden File books and the TV show that accompanied that was starred by one Paul Blackthorne, aka Captain Lance of Arrow fame. It was a short-lived show, but it was pretty good.
Alrighty,
you should be able to find it out there somewhere. It's probably on Amazon or whatever. It's not on but yeah, Dresden File was good. The comics has been all right because they've basically been retelling the books. Or most of them anyway. There are some that doesn't, but it is what it is.
Alrighty,
good stuff.
And right, and as I mentioned, the 2017 Joe Shuster Awards were given out in a private industry gathering over the weekend in Toronto. The Joe Shuster Awards were established in 2004 as Canada's top comic honors, and goes to Canadian citizens or permanent residents of the country.
Oh, Canada, I don't know the rest of that song. Anyway,
see, now if you watched a little bit of hockey, you'd know a couple of more lines. That's about as far as I know, though.
Nope, not gonna. Actually, there was a post from Chip Zdarsky, speaking of Canadians, of him. He kind of basically did a I guess this is his art, but it was him showing next to a poster of some of the characters he's writing and or drawing, which is kind of cool because it's also in the style of the Justice League poster with them all together. So it was kind of cool looking. If you go follow him, go check that out. It's kind of cool. Anyway, Marvel Legacy trailer hypes surprise return of iconic character, and I feel like we've talked about this already. But there is a teaser trailer for Marvel Legacy that is out there right now. I have actually not taken a look at this, so I'm not sure who they're talking about. But if it's who they've mentioned once or twice in the past that I know we've talked about, then
okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next. So Rick Remender, Broom, and Canetti's The End League returns in the new Library Edition preview. Okay, out on September 20th.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was looking at that picture. I was like, wait, is that a? Yeah. If you're a fan of Rick Remender, I guess that's something to look forward to.
Right.
Next up, cover reveals release date for Critical Role from Dark Horse Comics. Now, if you are not aware,
is it one on D&D term?
Well, it is actually a yes, because on the Twitch channel for Geek and Sundry, which is a pretty notable YouTube channel and Twitch channel founded by Felicia Day, Crit Role is a show where a bunch of noted voice actors run a D&D session. The DM is voice actor Matt Mercer, and some of the and it has grown to be widely popular for the channel and for them also. So it's actually pretty fun to watch, because sometimes they do voices, you know, and sometimes other people kind of drop by in and out of the field. So, but it is cool if you ever get a chance. As a matter of fact, they are, as we speak, Critical Role is going on over on the Twitch channel for Geek and Sundry. So if you, and they replay it during the course of the night and the weekend. So if you get a chance, go check that out. If you are a D&D fan, some people don't like it because it's like, it's only fun because it's the voice actors or whatever, but it's fine. But I think it's a good time. Nevertheless, they are getting a comic book called Crit Role Vox Machina, which is the group's name. Which is the D&D group's name, Vox Machina Origins.
All right.
Which is penned by, well, it's a story from Matt Mercer, who is the DM of the group, like I said previously, and written by Matthew Colville. They've had like art done for them and stuff like that. So, and I think they may have alluded to the stuff like previously. So it's cool, and this is basically sounds like origin stories of the group's characters.
Okay, so while Roddy comes back up from being underwater for the last minute or so, I didn't want to interrupt. He seemed like he's on a roll. West Palm Beach is welcoming a new comic book convention in 2018, unless Irma decides to destroy the event venue. Atomic Crusher Events is expanding its convention footprint with a new West Palm Beach, Florida event scheduled for 2018. Comic-Con Revolution West Palm Beach is scheduled to take place Saturday, February 24th, 2018 at the Palm Beach County Convention Center. It is obvious that we are sending out our prayers to the residents of Florida, and our prayers and condolences to those who have fallen victim to Harvey, and on the Caribbean islands that have been decimated in the wake of Irma. So you guys stay safe out there.
Indeed. And thank you, because I totally missed that one when I clicked on those links. But next up, which, where do you go from that? The best Christmas movie of all time is being turned into a must-have children's book. Die Hard, folks, is being turned into a Christmas book some kind of way.
Wait a second. The ladies are gonna cheer. That's awesome.
That's crazy. That it is, but it's also like if you're watching, awesome. If you are watching the video, you can see some pages, some art from the book, and it is totally in a children's book style.
That is so awesome.
Although I don't know,
available on October 17th.
Yes, and Amazon. They're saying Amazon.
I'm ordering a bunch of these.
Are you? You're so silly.
I'm ordering a bunch.
You're joking. You're not even joking.
But as real gifts.
I was actually thinking about that myself. But anyway, the book called A Die Hard Christmas, the illustrated holiday classic, is written by comedian Doogie Horner, which sounds way too close to Doogie Howser,
right? And
illustrated by J.J. Horner, which I'm going to just assume is some relation to Doogie, and was inspired by the classic poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and that makes it even.
That makes all the sense in the world.
That's beautiful. But instead of detailing Santa's attempts to deliver presents to good boys and girls, the book tells the timeless tale of a New York police officer single-handedly taking down a gang of European terrorists. I just watched Die Hard again because, you know, whenever it's on, you got to watch it.
Wait a second. I'm reading an excerpt from this. They spoke not a word and unloaded big crates. They cut the phone lines and locked all the gates. Carl swept the ground floor, shooting every guard dead, while visions of bearer bonds danced in his head. This is awesome!
I think you went to the Amazon link.
Oh, this is, oh no, not yet. This is awesome. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, speaking of books, did you see that Mouse Guard Alphabet book that came out this week?
Yes.
I know you're a fan of Mouse Guard.
I flipped through it. I'm probably going to look for a solid copy. I didn't have a chance to do it this week.
I gotcha. Understood. Well, you can let us know about that when I. But yeah, this is too cool to not have in the lineup.
That was awesome.
During the course of
that's gonna make me watch Die Hard tonight, you know, or tomorrow, or I'm gonna queue it up on the DVD player. Kidding me?
You know what? Do it.
So,
you know what? I'm gonna save that for next. Yeah, I'm gonna save that one for next week because that was just hot off the. No, the next one.
Okay, so Ms. Marvel's G. Willow Wilson is set to speak about identity, inclusivity, and feminism at a Seattle event. She's scheduled to speak about these issues at an event presented by Humanities Washington at Seattle's Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute, an evening with G. Willow Wilson, scheduled for October 23rd. And it is a capping event for a statewide initiative in the state of Washington called The Big Split, Conversations About Your State and Nation.
So if you're in the Seattle area or thereabouts, go check it out, and especially if you're a comics fan, because I'm about to say there's a Portland over there.
Yeah,
she's awesome. I know. I don't know. She does. She's not on the Comic-Con circuit, is she?
I've seen her. That's where I met her. I met her at New York Comic-Con. But
okay, because I'm
just a regular. Right. I don't think she's like one of those con regulars.
Right. Hopefully she'll get invited to Heroes Con because I would absolutely love to meet her. She
is very cool.
Yes.
All righty. So that brings us to the end of another episode of the Comic Chronicles. And I guess, do you have anything before I hit the last ad for the night?
Not unless you want to see a set of deck cards, which I bought like weeks ago, but no.
All righty. So I'm going to pull up our last ad for the night, and it is for a nice short one. My Comic Shop.
Oh,
you got something?
Yeah, I do, but go ahead and do the ad.
So, My Comic Shop. Today's podcast is sponsored by My Comic Shop. Go to cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, click on the My Comic Shop banner and order from a vast selection of new releases, back issues, vintage classics, graphic novels, and more to be delivered right to your door. Why bother schlepping to the local comic book store when you can order your books online? My Comic Shop through cspn.us. Do it today.
So I was just going to bring up the fact that this is pretty much toy corner fodder here, but I've recently found out that Funko has an app that is still in beta, and it came out like early last month. So if you are a Funko collector, you can go check it out. I believe it is, well, I didn't see it for iOS, but it is on Android for certain. And like I said, it is in beta, so it's got little quirks to it. But what's neat about it is you can search out, the various Funko items, and you can also scan the products that you have and keep track of your collection in it.
No kidding.
So, again, it is still in beta, so it's still got some quirks. And also, if you did a Funko of yourself on their site, you can also it also shows up in the app, which I can't remember the site specifically that you do that with, but if you go to the Funko site, you can get that from there. So yeah, I started messing with it. It's all right. It does have a few quirks in it, but yeah, like I said, you can scan your product in. The only thing is like weird because there's a couple of it doesn't seem to have everything, because my two Spider-Gwen pops don't show up, but the keychain does.
Okay.
So that's weird. But again, it's beta, so I don't know what's all in here. And you can also search by categories. So like when you open up the first time, it asks you what categories of pops that you're looking for and whatnot.
Right now. So yeah, I'm on the iOS version and I just got that screen. So
yeah, so I didn't see it.
Right. I will fiddle with this after we're off the air. But that is a cool thing to know.
So yeah, like I said, I just found this out a few days ago, just on a whim. And if you like I said, if you are a Funko Pop fan, I don't know if there's any way to like export your collection anywhere, but it doesn't seem like it. But it's just as well. Like I said, it's a good first step because the way I was trying to keep track of the stuff before was by hand and not great.
Old school.
Yeah, basically, I had an Excel sheet with putting the stuff in there, and that's.
Hey, that's more modern than old school, like, pen and paper. So,
yeah, well, yeah, that's true too. But so anyway,
all right.
This brings us to the end of this here program. Go ahead, want to send us out.
So yeah, no more plugs. We're just gonna play some music out. Join us next week. Hopefully, we'll have the triumvirate here while PCN_Dirt is dealing with his own reshuffled schedule. So. In the meantime, in the in-between time, get your comic book reading in, and we'll play ourselves out on... Doggy, doggy, doggy.
Now just throw your hand.
All right, that's it. Good night, everybody.
Right where we get to these language.
Yeah, for some strange reason, the trailer's still not working. So
oh no!
Yeah, I don't know. It was working earlier, but anyway, good night, folks. Bye.